Ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, in today's moment of "Isn't that ironic, don't you think?" the crowd of the person who is being allegedly attacked for just asking questions and are defending her right to just ask questions. My goodness, do they seem to get mad at anybody who they perceive to be criticizing her for just asking questions. This is Candace Owens on Piers Morgan yesterday. And a prediction that Viva made that I believe has come to fruition to some extent, or seems more likely than not. But enjoy this exchange, and then we shall just ask questions. Behold.
Why would he say that?
So
Why was
he
so involved as somebody who's
Candace,
fighting a 97,000 front war?
Candace, I want to get to the reality of what you're actually saying. So when you say that somebody at Turning Point USA, Charlie's company, was complicit in his murder, who was?
I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
No, my exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
I believe that thoroughly.
Candace, you didn't say that. You said literally.
I did say that on my entire show.
You said there were people at Turning Point complicit in his murder.
Okay.
That's what you said.
When you and I were discussing, that's why I said, let's go back. I was applying the logic of a conspiracy to JFK. I said, okay, JFK, you have people that are complicit. Of course, if you apply that logic, if there is a conspiracy, there's going to be multiple people that are going to be complicit by the time, in order for a large stage murder to happen.
You specifically said, you didn't say complicit in a cover-up. You said complicit in the murder. Because I said, who at Turning Point was involved in his murder? And
let me clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I am saying.
Okay.
I'm going to pause it right there. And everybody has to understand this. It seems that there's people out there who are emotionally invested in defending Candace at all costs, and they perceive any legitimate discussion to be something of an attack. Listen to what I'm saying, not what I said. Let me play that part again.
Okay.
Who at Turning Point was involved in his murder?
And let me clarify for you. Okay, you can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I am saying.
Okay.
You can keep saying what I said, or you can listen to what I'm saying. In other words, let me just clarify, because subsequent to my 4.5-hour meeting where things were discussed with Erica Kirk and Team TPUSA, I would like to clarify what I have previously said. And the amazing thing is, and this is like people think that they've got the own on you. Like, do you even watch all of Candace's stuff? It's like, for someone who's live over an hour a day, and I'm not talking about myself, Candace, who's dedicated day in and day out content to this, it's literally impossible to have watched everything Candace has said on this over the last 3 months, plus Instagram, plus Facebook, and whatever. When you're talking about an issue, you just need to make sure you have sufficient information on that particular issue, not having seen everything that Candace has said over the last 3 months. And when you speak, and this is no fault of Candace, when you speak on a specific subject, say not continuously in an accusatory sense, just as a matter of fact, you're going to say a lot of things. And so it becomes very easy to say, well, I said they were complicit in a conspiracy or a cover-up, whereas, at another point, she probably did say they were complicit in the murder or the assassination. And then you want to pick on certain, well, I said this, but you also said that. You want to listen to what I'm saying, or do you want to, talk about what I said? She's quite clearly in something of a backtrack mode, but not, this is again, not in an accusatory sense. Sometimes you realize, okay, I may have gone a little too far in certain things that I said. Let me escape here. At the time this was posted, I said, if I had to guess, I would bet good money that at some point in the 4.5-hour meeting between Erica and Candace, Erica and her attorneys brought up the legal concept of tortious interference with business contracts. I suspect that is most likely the impetus for this media tour, walking back of some prior statements. Now, people think this is criticism, to say like someone may have gone a little too far, said something a little bit too much on a specific issue. I have grown to become friends with Kyle Seraphin. I had a public disagreement on 2 occasions with Kyle Seraphin, one about James O'Keefe and one about Julie Kelly. Kyle Seraphin offers amazing insights with his FBI experience, with his whistleblowing experience. He might have said just a hair too much in the context of hypothesizing on whether or not Alexis Wilkins is a Mossad agent, Israeli honeypot, seeking access to the White House via Cash Patel. He might have gone a hair overboard in his monologue, in addition to, I think he recognizes it, pointing out when someone might have, gone a little too far, offering constructive criticism and not destructive criticism, does not mean you're turning on somebody, nor does it mean that if you do in fact like somebody, that you should refrain from criticizing them at any point in time. What's the most ironic thing about all of this is Candace Owens' crowd, or I say followers. Nobody's bound by the actions of their followers. For someone and an audience that says she's just asking questions, well, holy hell, do they seem to go crazy on anybody who offers the slightest what they perceive to be criticism of what Candace Owens said or is doing now. I said, first of all, I defended Candace Owens when she was going on with the theory about Brigitte Macron being a man. And I still defend. I still think that lawsuit is bullshit. I think it's some form of government intimidation, and the process is the punishment. When Candace Owens comes out and says, here's my theory for which Brigitte Macron is a man, and I'm connecting the dots that I want to connect, and all, people will accuse her of disregarding the dots that don't fit. I think, first of all, when she says that and she presents the thesis, her argument, her evidence, everybody understands it's a theory. It's her theory that she is presenting, not reporting it as a demonstrable fact. I mean, I don't even know how you would argue that someone saying someone's actually a man is a demonstrable fact. It's quite clearly, here's my theory for why I believe this person is a man. Now, it's not quite the same thing as saying, here's my theory for why I believe this person is a pedophile, which, I'm just saying my opinion is he's a pedophile. Well, that is, on the one hand, defamatory per se, pedophilia being defamatory per se, and being trans, I mean, I always thought that was liberating and whatever, and you should be proud of it. She's entitled to that. I don't think she should have gotten sued for that. And I do think that she ultimately will win that lawsuit, even if it comes with something of a nominal nuisance settlement and maybe a retraction. If it wasn't clear to everybody watching my show, it's a theory. It's my theory. It's not a statement of objective, demonstrable fact. And I did not mean it in a malicious manner in any event, nor with the intent to defame. What could be done? There's other allegations in that lawsuit, being part of a murderous cabal and all these other things. Which, if that's what's going to lead to people getting sued, well, anybody who says that the Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton are part of an arkanside, expect to get sued and then see how it feels. Well, it was an internet meme. It was a trope. It was my opinion. So I'll defend her when she, deserves a defense, and then I will offer my insights when I think that she may have crossed the line. Now, when that clip came out, and I said, my goodness, she's going on Piers Morgan. The interpretations of that interview, which I haven't watched the entire thing, are diametrically opposed. People think she owned Piers Morgan. People think Piers Morgan owned her. Personally, I think Piers Morgan is the biggest hypocrite in the news. Yeah, it's wait until it's popular Piers Morgan to show interest in something. It's two-faced Piers Morgan to block people for theories that he then subsequently espouses. And I'm talking about me here. But, just asking questions, first of all, it is to be distinguished from making statements. Ian Carroll, who, for whatever the reason, has ghosted me on the internet, has not come on for the public discussion that I think we should have. Because the people, oddly enough, who just ask questions after making bold statements like Israel just shot themselves, don't want to have a discussion. And so the cloaking what they're doing and just asking questions while avoiding any scrutiny or analysis or jumping on people who do, they're not asking questions. And then the other thing is sometimes asking an accusatory question, when did you stop beating your wife, is a question that presupposes a defamatory fact that you were beating your wife. Now, when that clip came out, and I was like, oh shit, she really seems to be doing something. I say not backtracking, she's not undoing everything she said. She's asked some legitimate questions, and she's actually, oddly enough, revealed some legitimate, I won't call it evidence because I'm not sure it qualifies as evidence for the assassination, but behind the scenes politics of these types of organizations that rely on donors. And she did highlight some of the influence and some of the pressure from specific donors and specific not being pleased with Charlie Kirk as relates to his position on certain things that certain donors wanted Charlie to promote. And Charlie, whether or not he says, I think they're going to kill me is a rhetorical figure of speech, or whether or not he legit thought Israel was going to kill him in the way that some people joke that Hillary Clinton's going to kill them. And I do not have information on Hillary Clinton and I'm not suicidal. Whether or not that expressed legitimate concerns to say, all right, there's that tweet out there that says, I think Israel's going to kill me. I'm paraphrasing. That needs to jive with some actual evidence that Israel itself was behind the assassination. And thus far, there simply is not that actual evidence of the actus reus, even though if you take that DM literally, Charlie Kirk was claiming to be afraid, legit, that Israel was going to kill him. All fair and game. When you come out and tell people to not donate to an organization, then you might be crossing the line from just asking questions to tortious interference with prospective business relations. Now, you noticed in that tweet, I said, my goodness, if I had to bet, I'd say that she might have got, during that meeting, they might have dropped the reference. Have you ever heard of tortious interference with business contracts, with prospective business contracts? And came across another clip today, which I posted, and people jumping down my throat. I am not paid for any opinion. I would not issue any opinion I would not take money to issue an opinion. There is nothing that you have on this earth other than your integrity and your dignity. And the second you compromise that, you never get it back. It's like a broken vase analogy. You drop a vase and it shatters. You can glue it all together with the fine that you could mastercraft. People will always see the marks where that vase was broken, and they will know that that vase was broken. Integrity is the very same thing. You spend the rest of your life building it back up. Everyone's always going to have that question. Everyone's always going to see the break marks where you once destroyed your integrity. That's all you have in life. No one's going to pay me for an opinion, and I'm not going to alter my opinion either for access, for money, or for not getting attacked on the internet. So when I said, oh, my goodness, it sounds like they might have mentioned, and I don't know that they did, and I don't know that they could even tell me if they did, nor I don't know if either of them would. When you sit down for 4.5 hours and you say, what you're doing, it might not have been you're going to shut your mouth, Candace, or we're going to sue your ass for tortious interference. They might have just mentioned, do you know what that concept is? Do you know what tortious interference with prospective business relations is? Chat, do you know what it is? Does everybody know what tortious interference with prospective business relations is? It came up in the Oberlin case where Gibson's Bakery, remember that bakery that was accused of racism for arresting a shoplifter who happened to be black, and then Oberlin University comes out and says they've been a racist university, don't shop there anymore. Tortious interference with prospective business is interfering with third-party contracts on the basis of false or defamatory statements. It's not like saying don't buy Apple iPhones. They're made by slave laborers in China. That's accurate. You can't stop people from boycotting. You can't stop people from promoting boycotts for legitimate reasons. But if you interfere with third-party contracts and say don't buy from him, he's a pedophile, and he's not, that's tortious interference. It happened in the Gibson's Bakery. Oberlin was ordered to pay tens of millions of dollars because they interfered with third-party contracts on the basis of defamatory lies that Gibson's Bakery was racist. Don't contract with them. They're racist. And it bankrupted Gibson's Bakery. It killed the owner. So after I make that statement, this clip I think might have, I don't know when this clip comes time-wise, but I think it comes from before based on, I don't know, I'm going with clothing. At least the Piers Morgan was yesterday. Listen to this. And you tell me if you understand what you're hearing. It's quite clear some people on the internet don't understand what they're hearing.
They were sort of most upset with obviously a bit of a fever pitch, when I tweeted that it was a godforsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And
aggressive is, I have to own that, is an apology, people. Understand that. Own it means take responsibility for something that I did that I acknowledge was wrong. That was aggressive. That's an interesting qualifier for potentially unlawful. It's a godforsaken company. Don't give money to them. Why? Because I'm alleging that they had something to do either with a cover-up or the murder itself. That is arguably tortious interference with prospective business relations. That I think there is far less of a legal defense for than, for example, saying Brigitte Macron is a man. Not my opinion. She's just a pervert anyhow. Man or woman, Brigitte Macron is a pervert who arguably but not arguably engaged in relations with a kid who was arguably but not arguably, necessarily depending on which news you read, underage at the time. They want to say he was 15 because that would have been the age of consent. She was 35 or 40. I think it's 25-year difference. Perversion nonetheless. Let me play this out and be quiet.
Bit of a fever pitch. When I tweeted that it was a godforsaken company and people should not give money to it. And I have to own that. That's aggressive. That is actually aggressive in the retrospect. I was very frustrated. And I don't know, I felt like we weren't getting any answers and there were so many lies. And then I was getting attacked for asking all meaningful questions that was within their capacity to answer. And I told you, I definitely, my problem in life is that I can rise to anger very quickly. I shared with them that I really felt like I was under attack for telling the truth from the.
I can rise to anger really quickly. That's an interesting admission. Okay, as your attorney, Candace, I might have said maybe. I mean, this is live, and you speak freely when you're live. Maybe not say that.
Very beginning, like casually, when I mentioned the Catholicism thing, like what was that about? I was like, look, I say something in a tribute to him. Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett then jump onto a podcast and they're doing that weird interview. They were.
So yeah, just to understand people, I call it like I see it all the time. And people have told me, Viva, why are you defending Candace Owens? Why are you defending Nick Fuentes? Like, first of all, I will defend even a person who is, I don't know, an adversary if I think they're right. I will give the constructive criticism to someone, even if they're an ally, if I think they're wrong. If for no other reason, you want to say I'm doing it to attack Candace Owens, I'm doing it to help her. Had she adhered to this advice, had Kyle Seraphin, maybe toned down the rhetoric just a little bit, he still would have gotten sued. I mean, Alexis Wilkins is suing Elijah Schaffer for a retweet with an image. Oh, David, why are you defending Elijah Schaffer? Because he's right on this issue, in my view. Elijah Schaffer might be the biggest asshole on the internet. He might be the biggest troll on the internet. He might say vile and racist things in your humble view. On this, he's right. And all that I would want to highlight by all of this, I don't know that it's the case. I don't know that either Candace or Erica would mention it. I have the feeling, and I had the feeling before, that someone might have mentioned the legal concept of tortious interference with prospective business relations. Because when you try to implore a massive amount of people to not donate to what is, on the one hand, a not-for-profit and a profit organization, depending on which element of TPUSA, when you try to get a mob or a massive amount of people to do that on the basis of other affirmations that you believe they were complicit in a cover-up and or the murder, that is getting awful and uncomfortably close to tortious interference with business relations. And if you don't like that, and you think Candace somehow is allowed to just ask questions and nobody else can chime in on the debate, she can go on Piers Morgan for an hour, but everyone else needs to shut up and just listen because all she's doing is asking questions, and goddamn you're not allowed saying a damn thing about it. Well, you are hypocrites. Congrats. Welcome to the real world, people.